Hey everyone, it's Gabriel again, and I just came back from walking, and it was such a beautiful walk. I felt at peace. There was a beautiful breeze. It was a beautiful morning, and I got some time to like really refresh and feel good. And so while I was walking, and I want to share this with you all. While I was walking, there's a little bit of a river where I walk at, and sometimes I just like to stand there and just kind of be in nature, observe, be grateful, and just be present in the moment. And it dawned on me. I started remembering when I was in high school. When I was in high school, about ninth or 10th grade, and that's kind of the age where you can't really work yet. I think I was like maybe 15, 14 years old, and I really can't remember. But I remember I had a math teacher, and the students didn't really like her. And, just to be honest with you, it was a very tough environment, school system, and, tough area where I grew up in. And not that the area was dangerous or anything like that. It was just hard ground. And so I remember that, you know, I would be in those when you need extra help with math, I would be in those types of classes. And, the kids would be off the chain. And so I don't know how we came to this. Maybe I asked her, or maybe I think I probably offered, right? Because I think I remember one day I said, man, I need a job cutting grass or something to get some money, right? Because, we didn't grow up with a lot of money and a lot of resources. And so, you know, one day after class, I said, Miss Baird, do you ever need help? Oh man, I said her name. I'm gonna bleep it out. But whatever it is. I asked her, do you ever need help like cutting the grass? And I'm pretty sure I offered. And as a matter of fact, she did need help cutting her grass. Her husband was a little bit older, and he couldn't get around as much, right? And so she said, if you come on this day, I can't remember exactly how it went, but she was like, if you come on this day, I'll pay you $20 to cut the grass. And I was like, I bet. And I guess back then, $20 wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was, you could get some soda, some chips, you could hold your own for a little bit, 20 or $30. And I get there, and it was during the summer. It was always hot. And, her husband was kind of like, if you're from Texas, kind of like these old school, folky type. Well, you better get it done and make sure it's nice and trimmed up. Those types of people. Not really country hicks or anything or hillbillies, but, just the people that are from the old ways in Texas. And he used to tell me, he said, Gabriel, I used to be an undertaker, and the only one would see them when they would go down would be me. I would get them ready. And mind you, I didn't know what an undertaker was. I thought he was like a wrestler. Because that's the only thing. But then he told me it was a funeral. I guess he was a funeral director. He was a retired funeral director. Anyway, when I get to their home, I walk about 2 miles to their house. And when I get to their house, it's hot, and I knock on the door, and here comes out this skinny man talking, like a country person. He said, Gabriel, I need you to come help me cut the grass. Meet me in the back right now. I'll open up the gate for you. I said, okay. And oh my goodness, it was some of the hardest grass that I've ever had to cut. And here's the interesting thing. He wanted me to cut the grass in like a specific way, like a zigzag. And so I would go all the time to, help him with the grass. And so, but looking back on it, it's like, why? I mean, it was so hard work for $20, and it was intense. But from that first moment, I decided to keep going back. I established a relationship. He ended up liking me because I just genuinely like to listen to people. And, I think I would witness, like, I would listen to what he had to say. And I think he felt comfortable with that. And, I built that relationship. But I think, I probably wouldn't cut the grass that well. But because I was present and I was willing and I was able, and the work was hard. And so I think it showed him that I had character, because other kids would come and help him and they would never like stick around. But I would always try, at least try. And so, and he would give me a ride. Like every time when I would finish cutting the grass, he would give me a ride back home. And so those are kind of like the moments in life that you go through that you don't really realize what's going on, but it's building character inside of you. You know what I mean? And so, and I'll never forget, like when I became a youth pastor, youth president at my church, I remember one time we needed help transporting a grill for an event. And I called him. I said, hey, Richard, can you help me, he's like, Gabriel, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I said, well, not so fast, but I need it on this day. He's like, Gabriel, you just give me a holler. And so, I think it's important, to build character in those moments that you don't realize what they're building up for. And so, I guess there's not really a message. This is just a reflection for me. But, I just wanted to share this with you guys, the story. And it's just so interesting to me how in life there are things that build you up that you don't even realize until years later. I mean, I showed them, yeah, it's hot, it's hard work, I'm not getting a lot of money, but I have the character to show up here, and be a good person and try my best. So I hope you guys have a great day. Let me know in the comments, have you ever had a situation like this in your life? Have you ever been through something like this? I'm curious to hear that about you guys. So I hope you guys have a great day. See you later.